Good evening, my friends, and welcome to a very special video celebrating our 100th day playing Blueprince. We are taking every single puzzle in Acts 1 to 3 of this game, so that's basically everything up to removing the crates from the tunnel, and we're going to be putting them onto a tier list. What were the best puzzles in this game? What were the terrible puzzles in this game? Now, as ever, this is a totally scientific and objective tier list. No, this is obviously totally subjective, right? This is obviously totally subjective, and it's going to be very much peppered by our own experience on our playthrough. Do let me know if you disagree strongly with where I've put any of these puzzles, because maybe there was a clue or there was a telegraph somewhere in the game that I missed and I'm just totally not aware of. The other rule that I'm going to put on this is we're not going to consider blue tent memos as clues for the purposes of this list, because blue tent memos are an incredibly late game item, and you can only get those if you're already quite far through the game. And so it means, because you need to get the 8 trophies, so it means that some of the clues you would get from the blue tent memos, realistically, in 99% of playthroughs, you're not going to have got the clues. So we're not considering clues that you would need the blue tent memos for to be able to get. With that, let's jump into the list, and we're going to start with what is probably the first puzzle that any player realistically comes across, and that is the parlor puzzles. It's nice, it's a strict logic puzzle. It's 3 boxes, one of which always lies, one of which always tells the truth, and one of which may be lying or telling the truth. And this is also a really nice puzzle in that it escalates throughout the game as your understanding deepens, with boxes gaining multiple statements, and you kind of have to put that extra level of intricacy on it, in that you have some boxes where both statements will be true, some boxes where neither statement is true, and some boxes where maybe they're true, maybe they're false, maybe it's a mixture of each. The parlor puzzles, I think, is a really solid puzzle. It's a strict logic puzzle. It's a bread and butter puzzle. We solve them every day that we're going into the house, and the creator Tonda must have made hundreds of these, because I don't think we've ever seen a repeat. I'm going to stick parlor puzzles straight into the A category, because they are, like, this might move down to B later, but I think A is going to end up being a really crowded category. But parlor, it's nice, it's and in the early game, when there's so much time being spent like not knowing what's going on, parlor puzzles are a great way to feel like you're making good progress. You're starting a day, you're solving some puzzles. It feels like you're making progress, even though you're not really making that much progress. Sticking on puzzle rooms, then. Billiard room puzzles. People either love these or they hate these, and it depends how much they really care about mental arithmetic as to how much they love or hate billiard room puzzles. Personally, I really like billiard room puzzles. It's the identification step, really great. The understanding takes a little bit, because when you click the buttons, nothing really happens. The very, very first time you enter this room, you click, you can identify that the buttons are around the area of the dartboard. Unlike the parlor puzzle, which literally has a set of instructions in the room that you can read and understand, billiard room does not have instructions. What it has is it has some mathematical operators on the dartboard. There is a clue that you find in another room about, isn't it nice that you don't have to know the rules of darts to be able to play? Okay, fine. That's good to know. There is a much more explicit clue that you can find using the microscope for it, but I imagine that most players are probably going to find this through experimentation, because you can click the numbers around the dartboard and none of them do anything except the number that the blue line is pointing to, because the first puzzle is always just the plus number, right, on its own. So you click that one and you will see that it changes. And then you click any of the numbers and it will go back to where it started. So you can very quickly pick up that, okay, I'm going to click the number that the blue line is pointing to, then it's going to show me some other stuff. But if I click now the one that the blue line is pointing to, it doesn't work. So maybe you click the one where the yellow line is pointing to. Well, that doesn't work either. And then maybe you're putting together, well, actually, there are these operators on the board here, on the chalk. So maybe there's actually some mathematical operations that are going on here. And so I think most players are going to piece this one together pretty good. Billiard Room, I think, is a really great puzzle. I think it's a really great puzzle room. And I'm also going to put this into A tier. Up next, and possibly my most controversial take in this whole video, and bear in mind, we're not going in the order of puzzles I liked to puzzles I didn't like. We're starting off with puzzle rooms. We got to talk about the gallery. The gallery is a puzzle that I hated. I really didn't like it. Like, I understand what the puzzles are. I think they're called like rebus puzzles. They're kind of like catchphrase style, that old TV show Catchphrase, say what you see kind of puzzles. And I understand that the creator, Tonda, he has like a lot of inspiration from a book that was written many years ago, which had a whole load of these puzzles in there. But they're not for me. I don't like this kind of puzzle. Your identification and your understanding is very straightforward. You know you need to come up with what the name of these puzzles are. Even after you get the true will, right, from the Room 46 map puzzle, that only gives you the first letter of each of them. And even that, like, okay, it'll help you, but this one was rough, and I think this could do with more hints to it. But thankfully, it doesn't really block off anything important in the game, right? Like, obviously, Gallery blocks off Room 8, which prevents you from filling out the house directory, but there's nothing you're actually missing in the broader game or lore by not having completed the gallery. That being said, though, I don't like it. It's one of my least favourite puzzles in the game, and I'm gonna put it in the D tier because I don't think it was very good. Speaking of Room 8, the next room is Room 8. And I actually really liked the puzzle inside Room 8. So you've got these 8 sins, which is kind of a little bit odd because biblically, according to the Catholic canon, it's 7 deadly sins, right? But obviously this is set on a different planet, so don't even worry about it. But Room 8, it's a really nice inductive reasoning puzzle, right? Where you've got these 8 animal figurines, you're trying to work out where to place them, and they all have clues about what's next to them, what's under them, what's near them, and so on. And so it's kind of like, it's like one of those old puzzle book puzzles where it's like Jim only goes for a run on Wednesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, and Alice drives her red car on Tuesdays, Sundays and thing, and then it kind of gives you a scenario and you've got to work out what was going on. So I really liked Room 8. I think it's nice. It's a little bit maybe underused because you only really solve it once, and I don't think there's any reason to go back into Room 8. Like, overall, I think it's absolutely solid and is perfect to put in as a B tier puzzle. A kind of one and done. It was an enjoyable little puzzle. It wasn't hugely groundbreaking. It didn't do anything like brilliantly novel, but it was really solid, great execution. Next up, let's talk about some of the puzzle rooms which aren't explicitly puzzle rooms, but clearly have puzzles in them that you need to solve. And first up, we're going to talk about the pump room. I love the pump room. because the pump room, it talks exactly to my kind of, here's a machine and a bunch of buttons, fiddle with these dials and switches, try and work out how this is going to work. And the fact that you can combine it with powering the pump room to fill the larger tank for other puzzles later, really great idea, really great design. And you kind of get a hang of like putting these pumps back and forth, moving these valves in and out, and the pump room, you know, it's, and you do your permanent room upgrades with this, right? You effectively, you upgrade the greenhouse, you upgrade the kitchen, and so on. So yeah, I think pump room is going to be A tier. Boiler room up next. So this puzzle, you enter the room, there's a door on the opposite side which you can't get through because you need a bridge, and then there's a gate. You can exit, but what's going on in this room and how do you generate the power? So you got to go down, you got to fiddle with some pipes, you need to call a lift down, you move the lift up, you power a red box, you unpower a red box, some things start moving which you have to stop at the right point to be able to pull a valve. It's kind of very similar to the pump room, but the boiler room, yeah, it's a perfectly pleasant puzzle. I would probably rank it slightly not quite as good as pump room, because I thought pump room was a more interesting puzzle. Pump room I kind of felt had a little bit more interesting steps as to what you're trying to do to get 4 gallons into the 5-gallon jug. Do you know what I mean? Whereas boiler room is a little bit more like plug in the power and it works. Especially when you're doing later game and you're trying to be like, okay, can I get the reservoir down 1 step to get the boat working? Or can I get the reservoir down like exactly 7 steps so that I can get the boat out to the safe house? So I do think the pump room is a better puzzle. So that's what I have for puzzle rooms, single room puzzles. Now, let's talk about some of the upgrades. The first one, and this is possibly one of the first uses that most players will find for the microscope, and I think it does a really great job of telegraphing to the players what the purpose and value of the microscope actually is. Certainly when we were initially playing, the microscope I was trying to take screenshots and physically zoom in, but the microscope actually reveals details that are not rendered. I would assume that this is what most people are going to find first when they're tinkering around with the microscope, because security is very common that you find it, like relatively frequently in the early game. And you're going to find that there is something written there, but you can't see what it is and you can't really zoom in on it. So you find a magnifying glass and you go, yeah, maybe. And this kind of kicks off everything that you then realize that you can do with the magnifying glass, as well as getting you into the email system, right? Well, it gets you into the admin system in security, which unlocks a huge amount of stuff for you, including being able to open the email inboxes, which is incredibly important for getting, amongst other things, like the secret VAT code to get the gemstone cavern. It's definitely, I think, a novel way to use an item to get the information that you need to be able to get to log in. And it's also kind of diegetic as well, because it's like, someone scribbled out this thing. But with a magnifying glass, I can kind of see it. So it fits pretty nicely within the lore of the universe itself, too. Here's the thing. Blueprince is a really good game, right? It's a really good game. So there's not very many things that are going to end up in C and D. And I have to be a little bit careful that we don't just put everything that I don't like in D tier and put nothing in C. Some things do have to go in C, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, because we got a lot more puzzles to discuss yet. We got a lot more puzzles. We talked about the gemstone cavern just now. Let's talk about the gemstone cavern. The gemstone cavern. So when you're in the utility cupboard, you got these vac switches. The vac switches, you press them, they don't seem to do anything. Really, really clever bit of design, right? To make the vac switches go red and green, but not really do anything else. So you're kind of unlikely, unless you were really fiddling with them a lot, to get them to do anything else except turn red and green. Yeah? But then later you find out, well, you've actually got blue and purple and white that you can also make with them. And by unlocking the email addresses and going into the office and reading the emails about the VAC system, it's like, oh yeah, no, there's this whole like thing in the utility cupboard. How do I rate this puzzle? I think this is actually going to be my first C-rated puzzle. On the one hand, you only have to do it once, which is kind of nice, but it is very fiddly. It is very fiddly. Like, even if you know what you want to do, like you have the identification, you have the understanding, the execution is quite fiddly, right? And if you mess it up, you kind of have to start again. Thankfully, once you have the correct one white, it's not possible to mess up the others in such a way that you have to turn this one off white. Because getting the first one white, because you got to get them all purple, right? Which is that's the faffy bit. Thankfully, once you've got the one that you need white, the rest of them you can fiddle with until you kind of get it working. But to be honest, like it's not a bad puzzle, but it is, I think, just a little bit of a fiddly one. I didn't really like it. So that can be our first entry onto the C list. Now, whilst we're on the topic of permanent upgrades that you can get, let's talk about Blackbridge Grotto. So, how do you get this? You got to power the laboratory using the boiler room, and then you are flipping switches after you decode the message from the periodic table. So you look at the periodic table, you find that like some things are on it and some things aren't. You've got a list of an order in which you're supposed to be kind of going around the periodic table. That gives you a message, which is like throw switch 3 after 9, and then that opens up Blackbridge Grotto, as long as you have it powered. There's a nice puzzle. Again, it's not, decoding messages using a periodic table. Like we have seen that in other games for sure. It's definitely not a, like a groundbreaking puzzle to have solved. Thankfully also, you only need to do it once, powering the laboratory from the boiler room. Like powering any room intentionally from the boiler room can be a little bit fiddly. Absolutely great standard puzzle. And we're going to put it in B tier. So keeping on the topic of rooms that you will unlock, and on the topic of rooms that you unlock by solving puzzles, let's talk about the conservatory. Now, how do you get the conservatory? Well, you get the conservatory by digging a hole between the silver birch trees. How do you know where to dig that hole? Well, you get it from the music sheets. As long as you understand that you're only looking for the words in bold and it's actually one word per sheet that you're looking for. It's a nice little puzzle, this one, for sure. And the sheets are well distributed around the house. I think there's like 4 in the music room, which is like an obvious place to look for them, and the ballroom, right? So if you are explicitly looking for music sheets, you will find a lot of them there. There's like one in the greenhouse, and I don't remember where the other one is. But you put these together and you get the location, you dig for it, you get the conservatory, and the conservatory is a really nice room as well. It's a solid puzzle, it's absolutely fine, it's not going to set the world on fire, it's a B tier puzzle. Now let's talk about one of the big puzzles in the game, and probably the first large overarching puzzle you're going to come across in this game. It's the picture puzzle. And right the way from the start of the game, as soon as you enter Mount Holly, you're going to be greeted with, I think it's 2 playing cards, isn't it? It's a queen and an ace, I believe. And as you go through the rooms, you find these sketched pencil drawings in every room. And clearly there must be a pattern to these. But then as you explore a little bit more, you realise that the pictures are not tied to the rooms in the house, they're tied to the location the room happens to be. So it's like, okay, right, so is there something that's going to happen if I draw lines between the pictures that are repeated? Does something happen? Am I going to get like, you know, some kind of code? And it's not that. There are clues around that you can pick up, right? In the classroom, for example. Now, we got the classrooms quite late, to be honest, but in the classroom, there's a really great, very explicit clue about how you can draw two pictures with a letter different between them. The absolute bang you on the head puzzle comes from the study, where there is very explicit clues distributed around the room that all say, I'm going to make pairs of puzzles, they're going to be different things, and that kicks you into going, right, there is a message that needs to be decoded. We find the letter that's difference between these things, we're going to go decode the message. And the message says, if we count small gates, 8 dates, crack 8 safes. And that is a really nice puzzle. That's a really, really nice puzzle to get that clue for the next set of things you're going to do, because you'll have seen the safes around the estate. You might have even managed to get one of them, right? Because the apple orchard you can get fairly straightforwardly from the dark room and magnifying glass, right? You just read the date off the tree, and the fact that it's a date is kind of neither here nor there. Now, it certainly prompted us into wandering around going, I need to find dates, and we took the coat of arms date, 1213, or whatever it is, 1312, and we're trying to plug that into everywhere. Some of the dates I think work better than others, but we're going to come on to those because we'll chat about those individually. But as far as the puzzle goes, to get the actual cipher itself, S tier puzzle. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's a great puzzle, and it's got some it encourages a huge amount of exploration. You could only get it by putting certain rooms down, because certain rooms don't have any pictures in them. And then and there's also the complication that the foundation actually has the pictures in the basement as well. So you might actually be missing a letter anyway if you've drawn the foundation early. But once you've got that clue, you might not know which dates are involved yet or how to put those pieces together. But I think the puzzle to get the clue itself, that's one of the S tier puzzles of the game. Absolutely. Let's talk about the safes. There's 8 safes in the game, as long as you also count small gates. The first one is the apple orchard. Now, we got this one before we actually understood the cipher, right? Because you go to the dark room, you turn the lights on, you find the picture, you get a magnifying glass, you look at the date, you crack this open, and you get it. And that's it. And it's a really solid one. Love it. You know, it's and this one gives you a feeling of like diving into the past to understand, right? You know, what happened? Why did this tree get cut down, right? It raises interesting questions, doesn't it? So that's a good solid puzzle, that one. In fact, you know what? I think I'm actually going to stick that one in A tier. I'm going to stick that one in A tier because I really like that one. I like that one. The gate below. Now, to get to this one, you have to see that there's a red box which you power from the boiler room. So you've got to remember that red box in the boiler room that's powering something, and you're like, wait, what? There is a note from one of the miners that says these steam boxes, right? You pick that up and you go, boiler room. You open the door. There's a little bit more shuffling around with the giant turning cog mechanism, and what you get is you get another small gate. Now, hopefully, you have the cipher that says 8 dates unlock 8 gates, but this has got a mixture of letters and numbers on it. Thankfully, May being the only month that is only 3 letters long, is the only month that works. And then twiddling the last dial will open it up. Now, is there a better way to solve that puzzle? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if there is. But yeah, given that it has letters on it, and the only month you can write is May, this one you kind of solve by twiddling the dials, knowing roughly what you're looking for. Or at least that's how we solved it anyway. It's a nice one. Solid. B tier. Up next is the office safe. And this one I really like, actually. I like this one. Right, we got stuck with it for a long time. Because if we count small gates, 8 dates open 8 safes. And the nuance of that we were missing for a long time. Now, if I were to criticize one thing about the dates puzzles in general, it would be that I think the letter in the freezer, which is the clue you need to really kind of put together that gates and dates, it's not like as obvious as just a linear reading of that clue. That actually what you're looking for is gates, not necessarily dates, right? But once you have that letter, and we only found that letter after we'd got all of these puzzles, I think. But if you have that letter earlier, then it could be maybe a little clearer that what you're looking for is gates, not dates. Now, if you've been to the foyer, you know that there's one chap named Mr. Gates, right? In the same way that we're currently dealing with Mr. Major Key, right? But who knows about that. And then, as you go around the office, you see there are small busts of Mr. Gates. And if you count small gates, you get a date. It's a nice one. It's a nice one, this. I can appreciate that it's nice in retrospect, although it was frustrating for us at the time. The study, comparatively, was much easier. We know we're looking for a date, and very cleverly, the Black Queen is next to the safe. The Black Queen is on the chessboard. What square is the Black Queen on? D8. Date. D8. Date. D8. December 8th? Yes, that's the answer. So it's a little bit environmental, it's a little bit rebus, it's a little bit say what you see. D8. Date. I think it works nicely. I'm going to give that one an A as well. I like that one. How's my overall... Maybe we should have added more tiers so that I could put this in G, this in F, and then we spread A and B more. I don't know. Drawing room. Now, gates and gates, that was also explicitly mentioned in a new clue. When the inspector is on the blackboard, he literally writes gates and gates as different spellings of the same homophone. And what you have is you have a bunch of people walking in different directions. Some have large steps, some have small steps. So it's how many gates do you have? But the thing I don't like about this one is you've got 2 different characters that are all taking small steps, and it's not obvious if they're taking the same small step or if one is like a longer step than the other. And some of the pictures are facing left, some of the pictures are facing right. We spent a long time being like, okay, so are we adding up to the right and taking away to the left, or is it, you know, and how is that all going to work? I think the actual answer is you literally just count them, and I think you count the 2 sets of small steps separately. So the one character that's taking the small steps increments one number, and the other character taking the small steps increments the other number. And because you can put it in American or other format, it works both ways round. But I felt that this one was a little bit too ambiguous to be an enjoyable puzzle. So, and I still feel like this one is a little bit too ambiguous. So I'm going to put this on C. I kind of see where Tonda was going with it, but I don't think it was. I think this one was a miss. Moving on then to Shelter. And Shelter, I really like. I really, really like the Shelter puzzle. Because it's a time lock safe. You got to set the date it's going to open. Well, you're going to set it to today's date, right? But wait, what is today's date? There are clues around the house as to what today's date is. But do you remember what they are? And when you first draft this as an outside room and it's like, oh shoot, we did see the date somewhere. It's mentioned in security as to when the staff are going to leave, right? When their last day is going to be. And it's like, right, but then you kind of got to think, so hang on, wait. So was day one the Saturday? Or was day one the following Monday? Is Simon the kind of guy that travels at the weekend? Or does he start his working week on a Monday like anyone else? And you can also find some clues in the drafting studio because there's a calendar on the wall there. But then you also have to remember which day you're in as well. And so I really like it because also, really, really clever move to make the time lock safe. You have to set it at least 3 hours in the future. So you can't just try out a whole bunch of dates. You have to be a little bit more, what's the word? Deliberate about what you're doing. And there isn't a clock to be able to time it inside the shelter itself. I really like this one. This I think was really funny, and I'm going to put it into S tier. Is it S tier though? I do like it. I'm going to put it into S tier. Fight me over it. Drafting Studio, Tiny Safe. This one, on the other hand, I hated. So again, it's kind of similar to the drawing room. It's the play on the 8 gates. You look at the calendar and you count the gates on the calendar. Unlike the drawing room one or the office one, this one kind of feels a bit cheap. Because whereas it's not a reference to a person named Gates, it's just literally, there's a drawing on the wall which is like a monthly calendar. Count the number of gates that happen to be in that picture. This one felt a little bit half-hearted by comparison, and combined with the fact that you can only even attempt this one if you have the magnifying glass on you. I didn't like it, and it's going to go in D tier. I'm going to put this one in D tier. Finally, the boudoir. And this one might be, again, a little bit controversial, because the answer to this one is Christmas Day. Canonically, Christianity exists in this fictional world, I guess. It stretches the boundaries of where you're supposed to bring your real-world assumptions in and where you're supposed to leave your real-world assumptions at the door, right? And this game does this in various places. Things like, obviously, the alphabet is the same in this game as our alphabet, right? Obviously, it kind of has to be, otherwise, unless you're doing something like Chants of Sonar, you're going to get real stuck real soon. The numbering system, basically the same. 8 seems to get put on its side sometimes for some reason, but we don't worry about that too much. It's still recognisably an 8. And the months of the year are the same, but the planets are all named different things. It doesn't happen in our solar system, and is actually kind of an important aspect of the lore of the game in some respects, as to the fact that, like, astrology, for example, is not the same in the game universe as it is in our universe. So you don't find any references to Aries, Leo, Capricorn, etc., right, which pervade games like the Nancy Drew games, but you do have the same months of the year. Like, you didn't have to have the same months of the year. We could have had 12 different months. The year could have been a different length, right? Maybe we could have found, a calendar somewhere, like we do, actually, in the drafting studio, but maybe like a full year calendar, which actually shows us that, well, actually, like, the months and the years in this world work differently. So the fact that this is on Christmas Day, I think is a bit of a lore weakness. The fact that the only real clue that Christmas Day is the date that you're looking for in this room is the fact that there's a Christmas card on the vanity. And I think compared to every other safe, that's a really weak clue in a game that has up to this point been asking us to put our assumptions at the door about this world. So I'm going to put the boudoir safe in D tier, because again, I really didn't like that one. Before we come on to one of the really big ones, let's talk about a couple of the other side puzzles. The chess puzzle. Do you want to take the banner of the king, the mantle of the knight, the stoicism of the rook, the other three, the ambition of the pawn, the one that is so bad the game literally deletes it halfway through? The chess puzzle, I think, is really great. I think it's a really, really good puzzle. A really good puzzle. On a game where the primary gameplay loop is a rogue-like drafting game, having something which is an obvious puzzle element, giant chess pieces in each room. Right, you know, right from the start of the game, the giant chess pieces are going to mean something. So let's start making mental note of where I'm finding these giant chess pieces. Later on, after you open up the elevator, you'll open up the elevator kind of naturally throughout the course of the game. It's the valves, right, for the gas lamp. So you've got one in the schoolhouse, you've got one in the orchard, you've got one in the gem mine, you've got one in the hovel, right? So you'll get those sooner rather than later, right? And then you get down into the cavern, and you'll find the chess pieces there. And it's like, okay, now I know what I need to do. You look at that and you go, shoot, that is a 5x9 grid. I need to draft a house such that I have all of those pieces. Now, because these pieces were white, we spent so long making sure we were getting white chess pieces. The black chess pieces tend to be rarer anyway, and oh man, we got a huge rug pull and we spent a lot of stars. This would be around about, I guess, episode 80, somewhere around there. We spent a lot of stars trying to get black chess pieces only, a black chess piece solution with clock tower, conservatory, the armory, I think, is a black knight. We then had the study, and and the Black King is, of course, the throne room. And it took us ages to get black chess pieces specifically. And do you know what black chess pieces do? Nothing. But so you can actually mix and match them. So we were making a puzzle like way harder for ourselves all throughout anyway. I think it's a really nice puzzle because it links directly into the core gameplay loop, which is drafting rooms, right? And using all of the skills that you have to try and force certain rooms to appear, like the ladyship's bedchamber to get your white queen, like the office. And whether you're doing that via inkwell or with dice or with using the study to be able to reroll with gems, or you've used conservatory to make certain rooms like more common, it encourages you to try and leverage all of your drafting mechanics to get the puzzle solution. Really great solution. Loved it. This is S tier. Love everything about the chess puzzle. I think it's a really, really great inclusion in the game. Now, whilst we're talking about sort of general puzzles that you see around the place, we should talk about Moragi boxes and the sort of Rubik's cubes of this world. So Moragi boxes, identification, obvious. Understanding, not super duper obvious, but Moragi boxes do a really good job of sort of letting you in gently with them. And they get more and more complicated over time, to the point where you have to understand exactly what these colours are doing to be able to have a realistic chance of solving these puzzles. But I think they're brilliant. I think they're genuinely brilliant. The fact that you've kind of integrated this into the world lore, the ramp rate of difficulty throughout the game is very clever, executed brilliantly, and I'm going to put these in S tier as well. And now, finally, to bring us to the end of Act 1, let's talk about the big one. Room 46. The puzzle, right? The question that gets asked of Simon right at the start of the game. You may inherit my mansion if you can find your way into room 46. No other clues initially. It's the driving thought behind Simon's initial motivation in the game. Well, unless you want to take a sort of more, lore-centric approach that maybe Simon's not there because he wants Simon might not be there because he wants the house at all. Simon might be there because he wants to find out the truth about what happened to his mother and so forth, of course. Now, we don't know that going into it, so for us as the player, can you find room 46 is the driving question behind the whole plot. Well, you're going to find out fairly early on. There are doors which prevent you getting into the antechamber. You'll find that out in security pretty early on. That these are not regular security doors. These are doors that must be opened via levers elsewhere. You don't know where any of them are going to be. Later on, maybe you're going to find out that as well as levers which open up the doors, there's actually backup levers, and there might be some hints as to where you can find those. But principally, your levers are going to be found in the secret garden, in the Great Hall, and in the greenhouse. But the greenhouse lever's broken. So you need the broken lever handle to be able to open that one to begin with. The secret garden, well, how do you even get to the secret garden? Well, you need the secret garden key. But where's the secret garden door? And then as far as the Great Hall goes, well, maybe you'll find it. Maybe you'll find that one sort of more naturally if you have enough keys to open all of the doors. That's if you realise that there's even anything behind the other doors to begin with. I suppose the Great Hall is maybe the one that you're most likely to find accidentally. You work through the house. You gradually get more and more close to opening up room 46. And then you finally get there. You get consistent enough with the drafting that you can get to rank 9. And what you're greeted with is not a door that you can open, but a plinth and a note that says to continue forward, first you must go downwards, or something to that effect. Shoot. You might not have seen a door that key can even go in yet. Hopefully you have at least seen that door. Now, if you have the power hammer, maybe you've already been in the basement. If you use the pump room to drain the fountain, maybe you've seen the door that key opens. Maybe you have already had the foundation, managed to work out how to activate the lift in the foundation, and you've gone down to the basement and found another door that you can't open. So maybe you know what the key opens, maybe you don't. Do you know what? It also occurs to me that I've totally forgotten to talk about the tomb at all, and how you use the stained glass windows in the chapel to work out the order of the statues in the tomb. I'm gonna stick that in. I'm gonna stick that in a moment. Because yeah, there's also the tomb, which gets you there as well. You move the minecart, you fiddle with the giant cogwork mechanism, and then you get into the long corridor that takes you to the room 46 lever. And you gotta have enough steps to be able to get back. You don't have a huge number of steps to work with by this point, often. Especially if you're wandering around trying to find these things for the first time. And what you're presented with when you pull that lever is then 8 doors that you don't seem to be able to interact with. You can't use your keys on any of them, but you don't worry about those for now. You're just going to open up the final antechamber door. Then you're going to make your way back backtrack all the way, get to room 46, and you get your brilliant cinematic. Room 46 is obviously an S-tier puzzle. It's the whole driving thrust of the game, and it's a big part of why the game is so popular. It's such a great puzzle. It's obviously going to be an S-tier puzzle. Very quickly then, let's talk about the tomb, because I should have mentioned this earlier, because this is one of the principal ways you can get into the basement area. You get your stained glass windows from the chapel. Those have got numbers on them. The numbers are Roman numerals. Maybe you know how to read those already, or maybe you don't, and you have to like work it out from looking at the various clocks in the den and elsewhere. But the tomb, yeah, is a really nice puzzle. You go down there, you see the statues, you can interact with the statues, you pick the order, and the door opens. What could be simpler than that? It's a very straightforward puzzle. It's not too challenging, but then I don't think it's supposed to be. But obviously we are going to revisit the tomb again later, my friends. I've been talking now for nearly an hour, so we're going to have to actually split this up into multiple episodes. So that's going to bring us to the end of all of the puzzles in Act 1 of Blueprince. We still have to talk about sanctum keys, we have to talk about microchips, we have to talk about scepters. There's plenty more to discuss and plenty more to put onto this tier list. So join us next time where we will be rounding out this tier list into Act 2, into Act 3. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, do hit that like button. If you want to be notified when the next video goes up, I'm planning on doing it very swiftly, because obviously, you know, this is for the day 100 of the main playthrough. So I'm going to try and get it uploaded as soon as possible. So do hit the subscribe button if you want to get notified when that happens. Thank you so much for watching me rant on for about an hour about which of these puzzles I liked the most. I will see you in the comment section. Let me know if I forgot any puzzles from Act 1 that you want to see added to this list. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye for now.